And we have returned. Ascension eSports Phoenix League. Renee's Dark Knights versus the Twisted Titans in Game 1. We saw a very dominant game come out from the Twisted Titans. Now we're going to see what Renee's Dark Knights can do at game point and if they'll be able to come back. I am Decerux, followed by my co-caster L358, and what do you think will change in this draft, L358?
I think we will see a dodge because it is blind pick and not tournament draft.
Oh, yeah, that'll be an issue.
I also do want to make it clear this is why you let the casters make the lobby. Don't worry, I will get this set up in just a sec.
A good start to this match, huh?
Indeed.
So I gotta ask, do you think this is gonna be a 2-0? Do you think Renee's Dark Knights can come back?
I think if they can get the top lane... Oh, what the... I'm sorry about this. I am setting up the lobby right now. I think, yes, I think they can. I think if they can get their top side figured out and get their jungler to kind of make more of a presence. Because let's be honest, I don't think that Lee Sin really made a whole lot of impact throughout the map. He was just kind of there. So I think if they can get their jungler to kind of make more of an impact across the map, they definitely have a very good shot at bringing that back. That being said, though, I think even though Lee Sin was a little bit lackluster, I don't think he was the sole reason why they definitely lost. They definitely had other problems going on. I mean, their bottom lane definitely looked well. So I think if they can get the bottom lane snowballing, they can get their bottom lane doing well, then obviously they definitely do have a chance. All it comes down to is whether or not their mid to top side can do well. And if that's true, I think if either mid or top can actually get a really big lead, then yes, Renee's Dark Knight can definitely come back. Though that being said, they also are down a little bit in momentum because they did just come out of that last match as a loss.
Yeah, I don't want to say a little bit. That was a very demoralizing loss. It didn't go as planned whatsoever. Overall, it was just disaster. They had the comp that should work in the early to mid game. It got crushed in the early mid game thanks to the top lane. And Fucknuggler, he put on a great display with that Shen. He abused David just so much, and it made it hard for the entire team to deal with that because the Stand United is a global ult that can be cast on any teammate. So once the bot lane of Twisted Titans, which were doing poor, got into trouble, you have the Stand United, you have the roam, you have the teleport. Fucknuggler played that Shen to a T, and it really showed in that game. He was able to dominate Renee's Dark Knights by just bringing the pressure he applied to King David all over the map, and that's something Renee's Dark Knights really have to consider when going against this team.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if Shen's going to be contested pick here. It doesn't look like King David definitely plays him as much as other top laners. That being said, though, they could be leaving scrims early so we don't see their scrim history, and they definitely could have that up their sleeves to pull out. I don't think they'll go for the Camille again like they did last game. Didn't show like he was fully comfortable on the champ. That being said, they might go for possibly like a Renekton or a Rumble or even a Kennen. Might see in the top lane. I think one thing's for sure though, the jungle pool will stay relatively the same. Maybe we'll see a Warwick, but the jungle I think will stay the same. Top lane though, that Shen I think has to be taken care of, whether that means Renee's Dark Knights picks it up or they ban it, but I do not think they can let Fucknuggler get that in his hands again.
Yeah, absolutely. He looked on point on the Shen, and when it comes to the draft, I want to say they would be best off just banning it out, not risking what could be a potential first pick, even though most likely Twisted Titans would save their top for the counter pick. But at this point, it's risky. It's what dominated them in that last game, and they have to do something to respond to it. So either you first pick it, which they don't have first pick, or you just ban it out. And I think at this rate, it's going to be a ban. They couldn't deal with it. They also had to counter pick into the Shen, so they need something more to work with.
Yeah, and I agree. And not quite sure what they will do. if they do decide to let that chain go through. I'm looking at King David's match history, and it doesn't look like there is a whole lot of top lane play. It looks like he does play a lot of more supportive champs. So whether that means they'll pick out another tank, and the problem with that though, Shen does do fairly well into those tanks. So it is concerning though. I do apologize though for all the viewers we do have. Champ select has been delayed a little bit. There was an error in the game settings, so it's coming up in just a moment.
Yeah, we will get this match settled out, but for now, and for those of you just joining us, this is Ascension eSports Phoenix League. This is an LCS-style tournament with a regular season and playoffs for all players. This is an open league. If you're interested in joining Ascension eSports, we have divisions for all ELOs, including our Dragon League, which is for bronze through silver, and our Elder League, which is for gold through plat. So please check out our Discord, check out our subreddit. We hope to see you here soon, and we hope to get into games soon as well. Game 2 of Renee's Dark Knights versus the Twisted Titans. As we are getting the roster sorted out, getting the lobby sorted out. Gonna be in there in just a second.
Looks like there also will be a roster change going on as well. One of the players from the Twisted Titans has not been able to make it. Looks like Dangplank is going to be players. Looks like we might not see. I'm trying to figure out the.
So much confusion going on right now.
I'm not sure what at all is going on. The Captain Christian will be back on, so it looks like Ratchet is going to be filling in for Dangplank.
So they are going to switch up the roles, it appears.
Possibly.
We'll find out in just a second. Are looking to get this sorted out. So it's just Frat Dude, right? Frat Dude will be replacing Gangplank.
Yes.
They're still fixing the rules.
I believe he's going to be subbing in for mid lane.
Apologies for the delays. We are trying to get this sorted out as quick as possible, but sometimes players can be a little bit of a pain in the backside. But we are almost ready to go. They are getting the LCS order, and we should be going right possibly now, but for some reason Captain Christensen to mid lane. Please help me.
Oh my god.
Okay. We're set now, right?
Yes. No. I believe no attacker should be in the jungler position.
Okay. Oh. Okay, we're almost there. For some reason, getting into LCS order is actually rocket science.
There we go.
There we go. We're all set to go. Finally, Renee's Dark Knights, Twisted Titans, about to get into the champion select. Twisted Titans having a very hard time figuring out how to work LCS order. You learn the ABCs of LCS. But we are finally ready. And there we go, finally. Champ Select is up.
The first band going to be coming out from the Twisted Titans. We're not having anything at the moment, so we will find out what that is. Moment, 10 seconds remaining as they have left to make their decision. Looks like it will be the Zed in respect to Omero 2582's Zed, which has been seen not a lot. And this is also the first week of Phoenix League, but it was seen during the last couple of in-houses. I've also not seen it as well, so I don't expect we'll actually see it at all. And there also we are seeing the Warwick ban that we talked about earlier, possibly banning that out. It did show to be a big powerhouse in the jungle role. Nova Typhoon was quite successful on that work, and it looks like Renee's Dark Knights does not want to play against it again. Neither would I.
Okay. That's one ninja banned out. Are we going to see the other?
Cool. Isn't that 2 ninjas? Zed and Kennen?
Oh, yeah. Forgot.
We have Shen then.
I'm
Yeah.
absolutely.
We need a third ninja banned out.
And then, is Akali a ninja?
Yep.
Alright, you guys know what to do. Possibly Shen being banned out. If it isn't banned now, I expect it to be first picked. There also is the Galio. I think the Galio is a strong ban as well.
So yeah, now we have that first pick, Zac, coming out. He did receive some minor nerfs because, oh goodness, did he have a ridiculous ban rate up in the higher elos. I believe at one point his ban rate was 120%. And yeah, that's from double bans actually, as both sides could ban the same thing. So he had some ridiculous ban rates, ridiculously high ban rates. It's going to be interesting to see how he works on the post nerf, but look at that. The Shen is picked up on the side of Renee's Dark Knights.
Yeah. Shen was picked up and so was the Thresh. 2 champs that both players are comfortable on. Looks like King David does have some history of playing Shen, so possibly he can get it out as well. However, though, the Zac does seem like a way stronger pick than both those combined. As you just said, the ban rate being extremely high. My mic, for some reason, disconnected. That's why I wasn't talking, in case you're wondering about that. I think the Ashe picked up those well, so there's going to be a lot of engage coming out from the side of Twisted Titans. Or not Twisted, yeah, Twisted Titans, I'm sorry about that. They have not only the Zac Slingshot, but also the Enchanted Crystal Arrow, following up with the wave that can come out of that Nami. They're looking to hover Riven, Lulu, and Orianna. Possibly any of those will be picked here, as we have seen the jungle support and AD carry picked out from the Twisted Titans. I would expect to see either a jungle or an AD carry picked up here, and then in the second sequence of banning phase to then pinch the other remaining role. It looks like they will pick up that Caitlyn. So I do expect to see the top laner role right here get pinched out a little bit, seeing as they already have picked up Shen, so maybe they'll want to ban out maybe a Rumble or a Renekton. Find out in just a moment, as they're now having 10 seconds left to ban.
And the pick potential on the side of the Twisted Titans is pretty scary. You have the Enchanted Crystal Arrow, you have the Elastic Slingshot, as well as the new and improved Let's Bounce. There's potential for some scary stuff to come out of the Twisted Titans, and even though, that being said, King David has the Thresh picked, which is going to go to send hooks, and considering how good he was on that Thresh last time, we can expect the Elastic Slingshot to be flayed, which is something you can do as Thresh going against a Zac. But then again, there's also the Enchanted Crystal Arrow you have to deal with, and you can't flay an Elastic Slingshot if you're stunned.
And on top of that, the thing with old Zac against the Thresh matchup is you could flay his jump in it, and that would, for the most part, kind of just solve the whole situation. But now with the Let's Bounce and the new reworked Zac, even if you flay his jump in, not everything's done. You know, he can still grab your carries, he can still take him with you, and you only have a lantern for one person. It's not like a Rizal where you just get your whole team out of there. You only have a get out of jail card free for one person. So even if Nova Typhoon does get his jump or his engage interrupted, I still think that, you know, this is going to be a pretty hard match for Send Hooks and King David to make sure that they're protecting their carries as best as they can. We'll see the Fiora being picked up as well into that Shen matchup. And that's actually a fairly skill-reliant matchup, as the Shen can not only block some of the vitals from Fiora with his auto attack block, but on top of that, he can also get completely negated with that taunt by the riposte that Fiora can bring out. So it's going to be exciting how this top lane, which showed to be last match pretty one-sided, how this will turn out. And also the Syndra being picked up last for Fred, dude, in the mid lane.
That's a scary team composition coming out again. That's just so much pick, so much damage, so much potential. And once again, The Lee Sin picked up, which I did not like at all. I don't think you go with the Lee Sin this time. He wasn't able to have that early game presence that Lee Sin is supposed to have. And I just wouldn't trust it at this point. I don't think it's the right pick to do, especially with the comp you have drafted and the comp drafted by the Twisted Titans, who have the ability to negate a lot of that power that Lee Sin brings. So, I'm going to have to give it to the Twisted Titans this time. What about you?
I'm going to have to give it to the Twisted Titans as well. We saw that top lane matchup being dominated by Fognuggler, and Fiora definitely can be a much more lane dominant champion in comparison to Camille. So I'm worried for the top lane. We saw that Fognuggler knows how to play Shen, and usually when you know how to play champ well, you also know how to play against it fairly well. So I'm curious to see as to how King David will then be able to use what he learned from that last match, as to how he can then take that and play it into the Fiora. But nonetheless though, they have just so much different ways to fight. With, you know, Zac jumping in, you have the Ashe who can just engage from across the map, the Syndra who has just incredible amounts of damage. I'm worried for the Renee's Dark Knights. You know, they don't have a particularly great way of reliable engage other than getting either insects off of Lee Sin landing Sonic Waves, or also the Thresh grabbing hooks, but other than that, a little worrying just if they do fall behind like they did last time. I'm not sure if they'll be able to hold as long as they did, considering that the team comp just coming out of Twisted Titans is so strong.
And that being said, really, with Kuro's last performance, I feel like he has nothing better to do than to be a disengage tool at this rate. I don't see the insects being done, especially with the comp drafted by Twisted Titans. It's going to be you're sending Zac in, I'm going to kick him out as fast as I can because I don't want to deal with that type of thing when it comes to the team fight phase. Otherwise, yeah, they have to deal with the layers and layers of engage presented by Twisted Titans. And if they can't, which, judging by last game, it looked really grim. It's still looking grim now.
Yeah, and only time will tell to see how this game goes. Of course, that being said, though, it is one of those things that if Renee's Dark Knights does get ahead, they can be very snowbally. Caitlyn proving to be a very lane dominant champ. Ari, when getting ahead, just has so much mobility. She has so much outplay potential. She can really make sure that her opponents have to be very careful where they're walking. Same thing with Lee Sin, has a bunch of mobility. And then on top of also that Shen, we saw what Shen can do when he gets ahead. You know, he just completely dominates the lane, takes that first tower like we saw last time. He was diving in under the towers to kills. It doesn't necessarily mean that Renee's Dark Knights is completely in the water right now. You know, if they do get ahead, they do find those leads in the early game, they definitely can make something out of it. It's just whether if can they, same as the last time, didn't look so hot for them.
Yeah, and another thing we saw was like the potential that I Need Leash had in that last game. Still did a lot of damage, was able to get quite a decent amount of picks, and was able to do well in lane. So Sandhooks and I Need a Leash are still very potent lane. I would still rank them higher than Yaboran and Captain Kristen. So yeah, even though it looks grim, they're definitely not out. They still have the early game potential, and they still have the ability to run away with this game if given an inch. But that being said, will Twisted Titans give them said inch?
We'll find out. We're just about 15 seconds from loading into Champ Select. So, we said, I believe it was both agreed that Twisted Titans had the matchup in favor of them. But that being said, what do you think the Renee's Dark Knights can do to not only make sure that they win this match, but to prove that they can take it to a third game other than just winning the thing? Because right now, I think if you're Renee's Dark Knights, you gotta just go all out. And that's what I'm hoping to see, because if they don't prove to themselves right now, this is week 1 of Phoenix League, if they don't prove right now that they're strong enough to beat a team, then, you know, this next week going forward, you know, they're going to be pretty, I guess, worried would be the word to say, whether or not they can actually win some games. So, hoping to see, you know, Kuro and that Lee Sin do better. Omero possibly picking up some more solo kills in that mid lane. And most importantly, I want to see King David pop off on that Shen. We'll find out now as we're loading into Champ Select.
I would honestly hinge a lot of this on the Kuro, though. I think last time we saw him, he had a bit of that that sinking ship effect, where King David fell really hard. He tried to save King David and instead went down with him. I would like to see Kuro try and focus on the bot and mid lanes a little bit more and try and make things happen down there rather than just fall behind on a champion that is so strong when it comes to the early to mid game jungle.
Yes, I agree. And now that we have loaded onto the Summoner's Rift, we're now seeing the starting items, and it's going to be a Dorn Shield for Naya Born, as well as a Dorn Shield for that Shen in the top lane. So no Rejuvenation Beads this time around, as well as no Dorn's Blade for the AD carry of Twisted Titans.
Can't really blame him though. I mean, the aggression that a Caitlyn can bring out, a Doran Shield will make long-term use in the early game.
Yeah, I agree. Though, as we are getting into the match, though, it looks like they're going to be sending 4 people bot from Renee's Dark Knights, whereas they're sending all 5 from the Twisted Titans. Looking like there might be an invade going in. Zentux is stepping up a little bit. Does not have any spell started, though, so doesn't look like it will be an invade necessarily.
I'm trying to figure out what cheeky play they're going to do. It looks like going to be very standard. A Raptor start on the side of Kuro. I would honestly like to see Send Hooks and Idleash just set up in the tri-bush of the bot lane and try and sneak up something.
Yeah, it's definitely something they can do, and especially if you do start the Flay onto Thresh, not only are you able to CC both champions on their team, but your all attacks will also deal more damage, and especially at level 1, every little bit of damage can make a difference. That being said, though, do you see exhaust being taken by both supports? It seems like I've been seeing a lot more Ignites. Yeah, I've seen Ignites been taking a lot more, though in the mid lane. Homero is picking up Ignite on that RA, though the cleanse is going to be followed onto Fragile, so we can always cleanse that Ignite away if needed. Already in the top lane, though, Fognaller are going to hit that first Vital, and while that may not seem like a big deal, it does show that he isn't afraid to, kind of start the trading early and making sure that he's the one in charge of the lane.
And considering he didn't do that same start that Fognuggler did, which was the triple rejuve feed, these are going to add up quite a bit. You only have 1 health pot. You got to be careful about how you play this. You got to be very smart about your trades and make sure that, you're not just taking damage for no reason. You got to break even in some way that's not going to cost you. For example, like right now, he can't even afford these trades. The minion aggro is just too scary, and that's one thing people underestimate is the power of minion aggro.
Yeah, and on top of that as well is the rejuvenation beads, while they're effective in lane, they also help actually build into the items that you're building. We were joking how we were going to see a Warmogs last game. He actually did pick up the Warmogs towards the end of the match on the Shen. So, it did build into the Warmogs. On top of that, it also builds into the team mat, as most Shens do decide to go for team mats nowadays. And so it does build into the starting item of the team mat. They'll eventually build into either the Titanic, or very rarely you do see the Ravenous Hydra on that Shen. Well, it's rare. It is still a possibility. You could always see the Ravenous Hydra being picked up. It'd be interesting to say, really. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it's good. I'm just saying we could see it. Though, it does look like this time around the Shen will be taking Grass the Undying instead of that Courage of the Colossus. So whether that means there will be a little bit more of the trading potential out of the Shen, who knows? Fognuggler did prove to us last match that you can take Courage of the Colossus on Shen and do very well with it. Taunt though coming out, and actually we're seeing Kuro wrap around on the Lee Sin. This could be a first blood possibly.
And Kuro stalking it out, but he is spotted out by a ward. Nova Typhoon is going to respond to that. Going to go straight for that Scuddy. A taunt coming out onto Fognuggler. He got blocked by the character model a little bit. David wants a piece of it, unable to get it. There's the Sonic Wave. It lands, but a great use of the riposte.
Yeah, and that was great also for Fognuggler not to burn a flash. I think he was waiting for King David to get a flash and possibly try to stun him off of riposting the taunt, but that never happened. So great way to hold on to that flash from Fognuggler. While it is a small detail, it could have been something that is relevant later, as we still see Nova Typhoon on that deck staying in the top side of the map and King David still has not recalled, so he is going to be technically behind on items. You see boots and a longsword being picked up by the Fiora. Growth on the ramp though seems to be generally pretty stable. However, we're seeing Omero possibly getting pressured by the Zac flash going out.
The instant flash to come out. Omero stunned up in the mid lane. Frat dude looking to get first blood. He doesn't have ignite. Flashes forward, gets the first blood, but will go down to Kuro in the end. No, actually dropped to the ignite from Omero.
Yeah, and I think at that point, Frat dude kind of figured, well, I'm dead at this point. Lee Sin was here. I think he just wanted to get that kill. He did get the first blood, so yeah, he did actually come on top of gold. He did end up burning that flash though, so he will not have Summoner spell to get away if needed. He does still have the cleanse up though, so if he does get charmed, always get away from that. Or if a Death Sense decides to come, as we see Sentox roaming up that mid lane later in the game, it's always a possibility as well.
And the one thing about that Ahri pick is it's one of the safest mid laners you can take because, you know, even if your flash is down, you still have your ultimate. That's 3 little mini flashes you have. It keeps you pretty safe. You can either use it aggressively or you can use it defensively. It's one of the better ults when it comes to mid laners in the game.
Yeah, where Cinder obviously does not have that luxury. She does have the orbs that she can just shove down your throat, but you're gonna see not actually no MR being picked up from the Ahri. Sometimes you'll see mid laners who are playing into the Syndra maybe go for a Merc Treads first, or also just possibly now the Banshee's Veil as it is now a mage item. Being a tank item though, Omero is going to be going for some trading. Is level 6, unlike Frat dude who is still only level 5. Will not go for the kill though.
And he does have a window of opportunity to try and punish out Frat dude.
And speaking of punishing,
but minion wave a little bit too shoved.
Yeah, and I'll just say, speaking of punishing, we're seeing the top side again. Fugnar is going to be dominant in that lane. Getting right now about a 10 CS lead. That's still subject to change as there is a wave crashing into King David Shen right now as we speak.
Yeah, but there's Fugnuggler once again saying no. No, if you're going to farm, it's going to be with the most trouble possible. And Fugnuggler really does know how to put on that aggression.
Yeah, and we're saying Kuro, hover topside. He's in that topside jungle. I do believe he was not spotted by any wards actually. They have no vision outside of the lanes that they're in, so Kuro might be able to try to make a play onto that top side of the map, as Fugnuggler is actually quite pushed up. Nova Typhoon is nowhere to be seen. That top side of the map, they are picking it out on the top sides. Yes. Oh, parry onto the taunt, so there's no parry.
Yeah, that means it's down. This could be pretty big. Might see a kill. There's the Dragon's Rage used. Fugnuggler having to burn the flash right away. They're looking to dive this. They're looking to try and get something. Stand United, but he's under the tower. Able to get the kill before Kuro goes down.
I gotta say, great play to King David. He made sure that he was going to be taking that tower shot while Kuro was still under the tower, and he then used the Stand United to not only save him from that last tower shot that very well could have killed him. So great play for King David and Kuro. Glad to see the two are coming back. They're not being affected by that last game. That being said, though, they did use quite a lot. There was ultimate of Stand United being used, so now with the teleport still up, or coming up shortly on Fugnuggler, might see a play coming out from him, though King David still doesn't have that TP in the top of the match. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, Red dude almost finding the kill.
If he had Ignite, that would have been the kill right there.
He would have had Flash as well, maybe so.
Ooh, goodness gracious. But yeah, as you were saying earlier, they are coming back. It does look like their morale isn't hurt too badly. And another thing to point out is that neither King David or Kurosekai burned Flash, and Fugnuggler did, trying to get away from that, and still died in the end.
Yeah, and it does very well mean we could see a return kill coming up top. So I'm thinking if Nova Typhoon playing this right, he's probably going to want to hover topside just to kind of keep pressure. He's off-handing the blue over to that Syndra. He is on the top side. Like Lee Sin might be going over there. Ward will spot him on the river, so he's not completely serious as to where his location is. David respecting Fugnuggler. I saw animation canceling there out of the Fiora. Get that ward down in 3 shots. That's always tilting. especially as a support main myself when you play against Leona.
Yeah.
Animation cancel that. I used to play top lane playing into Fiora or Renekton when they'd animation cancel, or not animation cancel in the case for Renekton, but with his W where they get rid of the ward in just one shot.
Auto reset.
Yes, auto reset. That's the word I'm looking for. Things coming out from Nova Typhoon on that Zac. He's not spotted out. Ooh, that's about the taunt.
His Let's Bounce going to be used, is not, does get the flash out of King David, and that is a pretty critical cooldown burn.
Yes, indeed, and it looks like Fognuller is going to put some pressure on that tower. Nova Typhoon does decide to see if he can find that Lee Sin. It will back off pretty far, knowing very well that that Zac is in the area and can jump quite far away.
He's going to do it from the Raptors.
Ooh, this is shot
charge. He doesn't land onto Omuro, and there goes the unleashed power, and a great Dragon's Rage to come out from Kuro. Takes out Fratude, and Renee's Dark Knights take the lead.
Yeah, so this is exactly what we wanted to see. We thought Kuro was having a bad game at Lee Sin. Maybe we thought that Lee Sin was not the champ for Kuro, but maybe we were wrong all along. Kuro coming back. He now has 100% kill participation, dominating the other jungler on what would some would argue to be the best jungler in the game at right now. You know, it's actually considered one of those junglers you do not want to play against, and you know, Kuro's saying, that's fine, we'll go with Zac. You know, just give me Lee Sin again. Didn't have a good game first one, but top lane's stuck in the trading.
Does look like King David's starting to get the better of this, as there is no mana left on Fognuller. But meanwhile, Bubble lands onto Senhooks. Senhooks falling sub 200 health, has to burn the flash to survive.
Very close call from Senhooks. Does have to burn that flash, like you just said. And now this, you know, this is I think the first time we're seeing any kind of pressure having down this bottom lane. It's just been kind of slow and steady farming. And now that flash is burned, you know, maybe when that enchanted crystal arrow comes back up from cooldown, you know, maybe you'll see it play in the bot lane. So far right now, Twisted Titans hasn't been making a whole lot of plays that have been successful. You know, they've ganked top a couple times, they've tried to go mid, and that just seems to backfire every time they try to do something.
Yeah, that's the funny part. Zac is usually one of the most gank-friendly champions you can take. But on that note, Renee's Dark Knights are playing this very well, because look at the ward coverage. They know where Zac is at every moment. And
yeah,
it does look like they know this is, they should have known this is coming. A great play that we were talking about earlier. A great double bubble! And that could be the end of I Need a Leash. Let's Bounce is used. I Need a Leash goes down, and so does Senhooks. And they spotted that from the Tribush ward, but they did not respect it.
Yeah, and I get a hand off to Nova Typhoon. That was a great way to engage. Not only did he follow it up, on top of that, Captain Kristen followed up the perfect two-man bubble to secure the deal. I Need a Leash had flashed originally, but that flash only means so much when you're standing next to your support and you land into that bubble. So overall, great play from Nova Typhoon and Captain Kristen to land that kill and hand over some gold down to that bottom lane. Kill being picked up by only the support and the AD carry. It's just going over to Nova Typhoon in the jungle role. Now, you know, Twisted Titans are now equal, actually ahead in gold with a little bit of 500 gold lead. And this is suddenly looking not so bad for Twisted Titans anymore. At first I was thinking...
Oh, wait. Speaking of disrespect.
Spoke too soon.
Oh, Omuro, man. That was rude, straight out.
Yeah, I think he underestimated the damage of that Ahri. Did try to cleanse the Ignite, but in the end it wasn't enough. His flash was not up, so he couldn't dodge any of the other spells, and the flash is now going to be coming up on Omero, so if I was Fratude, I'd be a little worried, because not only does Ahri have that mobility like we talked before, she has basically 3 mini flashes, she also actually has her actual flash up as well, so mobility is going to be off the charts, and if you chain that with a high mobility jungler like Lee Sin, it's just recipe for disasters. Now the Cinder is 1-3 at 13-14 minutes, still up in a little bit of CS, but is down not only in deaths but in levels as well. 2 levels down in the mid lane, whereas the rest of the map seems to be fairly even on levels, give or take. Port's up a level, top lane's up a level. You get the general idea, though. Mid lane we are seeing that huge discrepancy.
Despite that gold, overall even.
Yeah, that 300 gold's pretty much just CS at this point.
So now, despite Renee's Dark Knight seeming like they're in the driver's seat, it's not exactly the best game they're having regardless, just because the gold's still remaining even in the long run. And look at this, Fugnuggler once again going for that solo turret gold. He's going to get it, 650 in his pocket.
Yeah, and as of right now, that's going to be for a total gold of 5,000 on the Fear. So Fear is almost up 1,000 gold. She's up around 900 right now. She has 1,000 in her pocket. This does so wide though in that bottom lane.
Oh, we see something going on. They want Nyabaron, and a great Enchanted Crystal Arrow might have saved his life, but it's going to doom Captain Kristen. But Kuro goes down. Nyabaron making the best of a bad situation.
Yeah, and I gotta say though, I'm actually a little bit disappointed of King David's standing dead coming in and not immediately enabling the Spiritual Refuge. Basically cost them Kuro's life in that least sin. Nyabaron was auto-attacking with that Ashe, doing damage, and he had the Spiritual Refuge up, but he decided not to use it, so disappointed to see that out of the Shen, because that's what Shen does do well at, is blocking damage from AD carries. And now we're actually in the mid lane. I've trying to find a kill on Tomero. Instead, they'll just go for that first tower.
Yeah, and this team's turning on a dime. See, Fugnuggler's low now. Death Sentence goes out, but doesn't land onto anything. But they do get the tower. Another thing I want to point out is Kuro could have flashed. He had flash up that entire time, by the way, and just didn't do it. I guess he didn't expect the damage to come out of Nyabaron.
Yeah, I think he just disrespected, maybe thought that either that Caitlyn had heal. I don't know if Caitlyn had heal at the time of the fight. Maybe she did, maybe she didn't. Maybe he was expecting a heal or some kind of other shields. Or just maybe he thought that the Ashe wouldn't go for the kill, as maybe she thought. Or maybe he thought the Ashe would kind of turn away as opposed to not being killed. Nonetheless, it did fall. We're seeing 2 towers to 0 in favor of Twisted Titans. The gold lead being stretched now to about 2,000 gold. So while Renee's Dark Knights may be ahead by 1 kill, they are certainly not ahead in gold or objectives across the map.
I mean, at the end of the day, objectives win games. And
yeah, I think it was Envy versus some other, I forget the other team, but Captain Flowers made that point very clear that kills did not mean anything, because I believe the total kill amount was about 7 or 8 at 50-something minutes, and it just shows you that, you know, kills are cool and all, but really it's objectives that matter the most. That's exactly what Twisted Titans is going for. A little bit different, but oh, sorry, go ahead.
That being said, Renee's Dark Knights do have a Mountain Drake, and that's the Drake that's most notorious for getting objectives. There goes the Enchanted Crystal Arrow used, going after Kuro's Senkai, but he is able to safeguard away, and we are going to see the Dragon started. That is an Infernal Drake. And at this point of the game, Infernal Drake is actually not that valuable. A fight breaks out, and down goes Nyabaron almost instantly. A great Let's Bounce catches too. King David going after Frat Dude. Frat Dude using the cleanse to try and get out of there. Omoro trying to do whatever he can to help out his team, but King David is left to the wolves, and that wolf is Fugnuggler as he looks to fug the nuggles of King David, unable to pick him up as he gets into the tower just in time. But 6-6 apiece in terms of kills, but gold 3K in favor of the Twisted Titans.
Yeah, and that's about to grow as well as we see that final outer turret being picked up. We saw this in the last game. They go for all 3 outer turrets, and then slowly the game will fall apart. So that gold lead is now at 3.3K, and now they're going to pick up that Infernal Dragon, which they were so gladly trying to do earlier before they got interrupted by Renee's Dark Knights. King's being sent out.
And the point I was gonna make before I was rudely interrupted by that great team fight was when it comes to Infernal Drake, I honestly feel like it's an overvalued Drake unless you start stacking them up, because like right now, if we look at the Infernal Drake's worth, it's only what? It's only 8%. 8% at this point of the game is minimal. It's a very small amount. You know, you're lucky if you're getting 8 AD out of it. And Kuro gets caught out in the enemy jungle. But as the game goes on, it's definitely the best scaling Drake, because as you start to get more Drakes and as you start to get more AD and AP, it really starts adding up. But my overall favorite Drake is the Mountain Drake because that's the one that gets you the gold. That's the one that gets you the objectives.
Yeah, on top of that as well is that Infernal Drake, at least in the early portion of the game, because they'll spawn all the way up to 35 minutes, they're not immediately effective. Maybe when you get closer to that 35-minute mark, they are immediately effective, but you know, it's 19 minutes in, 10% extra attack damage and ability power. While that's cool and all, you know, you only have how much AD, how much AP. That's not that much. So it's a dragon that you basically take and you say, we're gonna scale up. We're gonna make sure that later in the game when we get some items, we're gonna be way stronger than you guys are. And it's almost like a gamble, or not a gamble, a form of insurance that they're taking now. They're basically saying, all right, we're putting some gold to make sure we get this dragon in hopes that later down the line, items, it will be even better. So it looks like they're gonna be pressuring that top side. King David all alone.
And they do have the champions to make it really work though. And Unleashed Power, use send hooks. Trying to get away from Nova Typhoon. Zach, a very sticky blob nowadays, especially with his new Q. And there we go. What a great Dragon's Rage to come out of Kurosekai! And they're unable to get the kill. What an incredible play results in nothing.
Yeah, it was a great take overall by Kuro on that Lee Sin, but you know, when you have so much peel, you have the Nami, you have the flash on Ashton. No, nice dot sense. I don't know if I took, even though I don't think you wanted to go that
the only
far.
one sentenced to death was Send Hooks. Now the Stand United use onto Kuro, and a great taunt flash takes out Nyabaron. He sets his eyes towards Captain Kristen, who's very low on mana, but there is a tower there to defend her.
Just when we said it was a bad hook going in on that, turns out it actually worked out quite well for his Dark Knights, as I did use that Stand United to pick up a kill onto Nia Burns. Ash with the bottom lane.
Ooh. Bugnuggler's low on mana. Very low on mana, only has 45 mana, enough to use one more Q and get out of there, luckily.
Yeah, great escape from him. He was, you know, quite sold out. Did have flash up. Could possibly use that if he needed to, but set it against it. I also want to point out though that Bugnuggler in this period does not actually have any kill participation. I do believe he was in that fight by Dragon Pit, but I'm kind of excited. I'm kind of excited to see how he will do in these team fights, seeing as he has not picked up a kill yet, despite there being 8 kills on the board for the Twisted Titans.
Yeah, hasn't got a kill yet, but still has looked really good on the map so far. Same thing couldn't be said for Renee's Dark Knights last game. And so Bugnuggler, when he gets into these fights, it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. I think he can overall just overpower King David, and we see an attack done onto Omero. Omero doesn't have the Spirit Rush just yet, forcing the teleport out from King David.
Yeah, and now that also being said, your ult decided to TP in a little bit late, however, catching caught out a little redemption. Does go down.
And there is Bugnuggler. He finally gets into the fight, gets a kill, looking for 2, make it 2, grabs 2. A great Let's Bounce to come out of Nova Typhoon. That's a double kill picked up on the side of Nyabaron. They're looking for the ace, and they get it! And that's going to be huge. That's going to be an inhibitor.
Great play overall from the Twisted Titans. I mean, you can't say anybody on that team did anything wrong. We had the great Nami plays with that huge wave. You had Nova Typhoon coming in big with the Let's Bounce on that Zac. Nia Burn put out huge damage on the Nash. You know, we're seeing Bugnuggler TPing in. A great overall play from the team as well. And like you said, that's an inhib, possibly even a Baron. They're pinging it out. Looks like they might go and reset, get some of that gold that they just earned, and spend it on some nice items. And speaking of items also, I noticed that we were seeing a dagger being built on the Fiora. Could possibly be a Triforce. Oh, never mind. Looks like it's being sold. It's going to go straight into... Oh, no, wait. It is a Triforce. They bought the Triforce. They did not sell it. They bought it. I knew what I was talking about. And that's an interesting item. It's not something you always see on Fiora, but it's definitely can be good against champs that are squishy, such as the Caitlyn and Ahri. Shen, probably still going to want to pick up a Black Cleaver. Only problem with that, though, is you are kind of wasting gold in the sense that you're paying for that Phage passive twice. And like part of those gold, or part of the gold that you do put into those items is being spent on the passive for the phage, so you are going to be wasting some gold there. So it doesn't necessarily mean we'll see it, as it is a little bit inefficient. But nonetheless, is an interesting item choice.
Something I have to point out, though, is in that last fight, we had what looked like the same thing we saw in Game 1. Renee's Dark Knights looked like they were in a perfect position to do a counter engage. And then everything just went horrible. Just like this gank for Kuro's going horrible. We see Fugnuggler trying to pick him off, and he gets the kill with the grand challenge. Nova Typhoon's there, but there's 3 people in it. He bounces them into the Enchanted Crystal Arrow.
And there was so much that just went well in that last play. I don't know if you saw it, but Fugnuggler reposted. Sorry about that pronunciation. Reposted the Dragon's Rage. I mean, that's something that you can't really do just on the blink of your eye. You know, you gotta think, what is he gonna do next? You can't. There's no animation for Dragon's Rage that can really be predictable. He basically had to predict that kick, and that right there single-handedly won them that fight. They got a mid-hit off of it, as the rest of that team on the Twisted Titans was trying to create pressure elsewhere on the map, while the Fiora was being dove by what looked to be almost 4 members of that team.
Yeah, and I mean, it was a mind game between those two, because we saw Kuro waited quite a while before he used the Dragon's Rage, waiting for the riposte to come out. And when he finally decides, all right, screw it, I'm just going to use it, there it is. And here we go again. We have another engage going out. Enchanted Crystal Arrow rings true, and it's going to result in the death of Kuro Senkai as well as Sen Hooks. And one more Elastic Slingshot to go after Omuro. Omuro able to get the Spirit Rush to get out just in time, but that's another 2 down, and that could be the Baron.
Very well could be. Jungler is dead. No smite. Looks like we're clearing out that vision. Nova Typhoon coming in. Quite far. Look at that. Look at the amount of healing he's just healing up. Absolutely insane.
Yeah.
Doesn't look like we'll be seeing a smite still coming either, as nobody from Renee's Dark Knights wants to even contest that Baron whatsoever. And now that brings the total gold lead almost up to 11,000.
Oh, this is a very, very tough series for Renee's Dark Knights. They had the early game going for them quite decently. They found a couple of good picks. They got King David doing all right. But overall, there's one thing I was pointing out. A lot of this hinges on I Need a Leash and Omuro, and that's the lane I feel should have been focused much more.
And I agree. The bottom lane from Renee's Dark Knights always seemed to do consistently well. And I still think they did consistently well. Obviously, the scoreline for Sen Hooks isn't as great as you'd want it to be, but I think overall his play is doing better than what his KD reflects. And you could argue that the bottom lane of Twisted Titans isn't as strong as the other side lanes. But overall, though, you know, you can have one bad lane and still work together fantastic as a team, and that's exactly what we're seeing the Twisted Titans pull out. Now, as they pressure for this bot tower, Flash coming off of Branded Redemption going out, not find the kill on 2.
They almost got the pick, but not quite. Using a lot of those pick tools, and that's what you got to give it to the Twisted Titans. They're actually attempting this. Like, they're not afraid if they get success or not, you know. If they fail, oh well, but ooh, Fugnuggler going in a little bit too deep for that one. Less bounce is going to be used. It pulls in King David. King David gets a triple taunt, though. Still, Jan Boran with the turret there is not in the friendliest of situations. Does take down Kuro, wants to take down King David and Sen Hooks. Unable to get them, but burns both of their flashes. And now critically low gets picked off by the Piltover Peacemaker. But both Nexus towers fall in the process. And now what do they do here? What do they do to stop this invasion coming out from the Twisted Titans? They try and chase him out. Ace in the Hole goes out. Captain Kristen blocks it. They said so much to try and stop this advancement, but Nova Typhoon, being as annoying as humanly possible, manages to escape.
That's incredible that Nova Typhoon got out of that. It's always tilting, I think is the word best to say, is when a Zag is so low and is able to just jump out of there without any problems. Unfortunately, it didn't look like King David had a taunt. It was a nice play by Captain Kristen's Nami. being able to use the ebb and flow to speed her up off of that passive on Nami to get out of range for that taunt. And now, you know, we're looking at a situation where Renee's Dark Passage doesn't have any inhibs towers up. In fact, they have no towers at all on the map left. Every single tower has been destroyed, all 11. And, you know, I'm not sure how Renee's Dark Passage wins this. We're saying
definitely not how. They catch out I Need a Leash. There's no Lantern to save her. She drops along with Kuro. And having one of the most critical members of your team down, one of the most critical wave players, this should be the end. And oh, right as I say that, Fugnuggler flashing over the wall, looking to go after Omuro, unable to get him thanks to the Spirit Rush. But once again, Nova Typhoon, time and time again, jumping in. Grand Challenge used, challenges David, he goes to his demise, and with the Nexus exposed at 30 minutes into the game, they still choose to fight them straight into the obelisk, straight to their demises, and straight to a 2-0 victory. Twisted Titans take it.
Fantastic series overall from the Twisted Titans. At first, I think we both thought that this game would possibly go to game 3. You know, Renee's Dark Passage in that first game showed off that they had some good early game pressure. And then Twisted Titans kind of came back and said, no, you know, we know what we're doing. And then, you know, they had glimpses of times where, you know, they maybe didn't look like they quite were sure what they were doing. And then, you know, this game 2, Renee's Dark Passage, right off the bat, they were up in kills, they were up in gold, they had made some great plays. Kuro on that Lee Sin came back in the early game to show that he was not afraid to make plays. But in the end, Twisted Titans proved that they were the superior team in terms of not only macro, but also mechanics and abilities as well. You saw throughout the game that every single player on the Twisted Titans was holding up their own. I wouldn't say anybody was slacking hard on Twisted Titans. They all showed that they deserved to be in this league. And I think that as a team, they have much to prove. You know, right now, they look unstoppable. That being said, though, there are other teams that can bring out some competition. So, what's your thoughts overall on the match? Do you have an MVP that you would like to list off?
Oh, I'm not even sure at this point. I have to give it to Fugnuggler. He put on quite a display in both games, and we saw he didn't do that well in game 2, but regardless of having 0 kills, he was still such a high-value threat. Fugnuggler just fugged some nuggles, you know? He put on a clinic, and just, that's my MVP. What about you?
I would have to say Nova Typhoon. I don't think he got enough credit for what he was doing throughout the game. You look at that first game on the Warwick, he was incredibly strong. He got massively ahead against Lee Sin. He finished the game 4-1-9. Had great kill participation across the team. Then you look in the second game, he's playing Zac, a champ that some people consider just too OP to even have in the game. You got to consistently ban him. So he gets his hands on him. First off, you know, he comes to gank mid. Syndra ends up dying. You're like, maybe Zac is in the pick for him. And then he comes back and he starts bringing it out. And he just shown that he was in the right place at the right time at almost every point in the game. Every time Kuro made a gank or was attempting to make a gank, either Nova Typhoon was there to counteract it, or he was on the other side of the map making a play. And I think he kind of went a little unnoticed because some of the plays he weren't making were flashy. You know, he would take dragons, he would counter jungle, get deep vision. But I'd have to say my MVP for me was Nova Typhoon.
And on that note, we are going to take a look at the damage charts. We see Omuro high in damage, 25k, most in the game. But that doesn't matter when your team doesn't really back you up, because if we look, even though the Twisted Titans didn't have a member that did the most damage, overall as a team, they did a lot of damage altogether. And that really shows as a testament as to why they won that game.
Yeah, and looking forward next week, it's looking like Renee's Dark Knights will be facing off against the Michigan State Spartans, and the Twisted Titans will be facing off against for Breezing the Homeless. So next week, make sure to check those out and see if Renee's Dark Knights can also come back to redeem themselves. If Twisted Titans can hold up their elegant victory that they just showed us. Decerux, will you be casting those next matches? Where can I find you at?
Yeah, man, you just find me at Ascension eSports.
You don't have no social links?
No, I don't have any set up yet.
I'm trying to give you a plug. Well, as for me, you probably will not find me, as I will most likely be administrating the games that are going on here. But for the rest of us, you guys can catch Phoenix League, Elder, and Dragon League on Ascension eSports _GG and AE Sports _GG2 twitch.tv.com. So make sure you guys check those out. Decerux, I think that's all we have for today. Unless, do you have anything else to say?
No, nothing else to say. This is going to close out the cast of our coverage of Phoenix League here at Ascension eSports. I'm Decerux. This was L358 on the co-cast, also the admin of Phoenix League. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you next week.
Happy Father's Day to all the dads out there as well. I had to put